Martin Lewis, Manhattan's crown prince, got rejected by Serafina Vance for the 99th time. Without missing a beat, he shoved a bouquet of crimson roses and his unlimited black card into my hands. At the time, I was scavenging through a dumpster for food. Helicopters buzzed overhead, dropping petals like rain. Martin cornered me against a brick wall, his breath brushing my cheek. "Hey, little stray," he murmured, voice dark and teasing. "Wanna play princess?" Serafina's cold smirk flashed through my mind. Desperate, broke, and 1 semester away from dropping out, I said yes. What followed was a blur of champagne, designer clothes, and sleepless nights with private tutors. I spent his money like it burned my fingers. Then came my 18th birthday. Martin's fingers trailed along my collarbone, his whisper curling around my ear. "Let's make a video," he said softly, "to remember our first time." That was when I realized the real game was ending. Serafina's mother had once been my father's mistress. Her revenge was simple, to see me destroyed. But instead, I smiled, waving my plane ticket and Harvard acceptance letter in her face. "Your bed's soft, Martin, and your credit limit's high," I said sweetly. "But neither can hold my future. Goodbye. Miss Monroe, your visa application's been approved. You can collect it next week." I ended the call just as Serafina's sugary laughter floated in from the living room. The mansion was alive with music and laughter. Serafina, in a glittering dress and strawberry print panties, dangled the underwear on 2 fingers and tucked them into Martin's hand. "A little gift for you, baby." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "And if you get that video of Mia, your next reward will be me." Martin leaned back, cigarette hanging from his lips. His tone was smooth, indulgent. "Relax, babe. I toss her a few dollars, and she starts thinking I'm in love. She's already agreed to give herself to me on her 18th birthday. Tomorrow?" Serafina's eyes gleamed. She kissed him hard, laughing. "Just make sure you don't touch her for real. I don't want seconds." He chuckled, his hand sliding around her waist. "By the time I'm done, she won't just make a video. I could tell her to strip and crawl down 5th Avenue, and she'd do it smiling." The crowd roared with laughter. "I thought she'd rather starve than sell herself," someone said. The poor girl turned gold digger. Now that's a show worth watching. Outside the door, I smiled faintly. What could a bunch of trust fund kids possibly know about survival? I'd eaten from trash bins, slept under bridges, drank rainwater from public fountains. I'd been 12 when I last licked crumbs off a paper bag. Now I was 18 and swiping Martin's limitless card without guilt. Dignity? It had a price tag. Inside, someone teased, "Sarah, you sure about this? What if Martin actually falls for her?" He tossed a silk pillow at them and laughed. "I only see Sarah." I didn't care who he saw. I cared about his money. It's ironic, really. My family was rich once. My mother, a lawyer addicted to gambling. My father, a tycoon addicted to women. Between them was me, the unwanted daughter who sometimes couldn't afford tampons. If not for Martin, I would have rotted in that house. And it was all thanks to Serafina's obsession with revenge. She hated me so much, she couldn't wait to ruin me through him. When I was 12, my mother lost $2 million at a poker table. She broke open my piggy bank, took every penny I'd saved for school, and warned me not to tell my father. Her version of an apology was a greasy box of fried chicken from a street cart. We were still standing there when we saw him, my father, walking out of a boutique, arm around his mistress. Trailing behind them was a girl about my age, holding designer bags. Serafina. That night, my mother poured drain cleaner down my throat while screaming at my father over the phone that she'd kill me if he didn't come home. The acid burned everything it touched. The light from the hospital lamps was so bright it hurt to keep my eyes open. 3 blood transfusions later, I lived. My survival forced my father back home. Serafina's mother was left behind, and Serafina never forgave me for it. She wanted me gone. Completely erased. I'd seen every one of Martin's public, over-the-top confessions to her. He was devastatingly handsome, charming, and loaded beyond imagination. To him, money was a game. Serafina basked in it, keeping him at arm's length just to prove she could. And yes, I envied her. I hated the part of me that craved what she had, the roses, the power, the luxury. I was drowning in debt and despair, trapped in a home that reeked of alcohol and resentment. So I made a post online. Being abandoned is the first sin. It never washes off. That single line pushed Serafina over the edge. When Martin landed a helicopter on our school field, scattering rose petals in the wind, I knew she'd set the stage. "Hey, little stray," he said with that devil's grin. "Wanna be my princess?" It wasn't a fairy tale offer. It was a deal with the devil. That night, Serafina posted on the school's forum. So-called pure girl sold herself for a higher bid. She was right in a way. I wanted money. Enough to buy freedom. My parents called me the reason they couldn't divorce. I was the punishment neither wanted to face. My father came home drunk and hit me until he passed out. My mother tore the house apart for gambling cash, once crawling under my bed to fish out a single coin. I was tired of surviving on scraps. Each perfect grade on my report card felt like a feather in the wings I was trying to build for myself. On my desk sat a tattered romance novel about a prince who rescued a broken girl with endless wealth. I used to dream of that, too. And then Martin appeared, rich, untouchable, and dangerously charming. He was everything my fantasy promised, and everything reality would make me pay for. All I needed was $200,000. Enough to disappear and finally start over. I waited for the perfect moment before stepping inside, holding up a bottle of tequila like I hadn't heard a thing. Got the drinks. Serafina slid off Martin's lap, her gaze full of unspoken meaning. Martin stretched out lazily on the couch, one leg crossed over the other, then tapped the seat beside him. "Come here." I sat down obediently. Serafina's hand darted out, grabbing the diamond bracelet from my wrist. "This is pretty," she said sweetly. "Bet it cost a fortune."
It did.
Martin bought it for me. Laughter rippled through the room. Someone snorted. "Looks like the freebie that came with Sarah's necklace." The laughter grew louder. They'd been waiting all night to break me, but I didn't flinch. Freebie or not, it's from him. That's all that matters. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught Martin's hand pause midair, the cigarette between his fingers trembling slightly. His eyes darkened, something unreadable flickering there. Exactly what I wanted. I knew his weaknesses, the hidden strings that could make him dance. Truthfully, I'd already found a buyer for the bracelet. It would fetch $6,000, enough for 2 months of independence once I vanished. The humiliation didn't matter. If anything, I wanted them to push harder. Before anyone could say more, Martin's voice cut through the noise, low and sharp. "Drinks are here. Let's play a game. Truth or dare." I lost the first round. Serafina held up her phone, already recording. "Truth. Have you and Martin slept together?" I picked up my glass and down the shot instead.
Dare.
Second round. Lost again. "Truth," she purred. "Do you love Martin or just his money?" I swallowed another shot without hesitation. By the third round, I could feel the burn in my throat, but I needed to sell the part. To be tipsy enough to stumble, to fall perfectly into his arms. So when I swayed and collapsed against him, Martin caught me, his arm tightening around my waist, his face unreadable under the low light. Fourth round. Serafina's eyes gleamed. "Mia," she said sweetly. "Truth, do you think you're a shameless gold-digging bitch?" I reached for another glass, but Martin's hand gripped my wrist. His voice was quiet, dangerous. "That's enough." Later, in the bathroom, he pressed me against the cold tile, heat rolling off his body in waves. "Why didn't you answer her?" he demanded. I tilted my head up, letting my eyes glisten. Wide, fragile, perfect. When a man starts asking why, it means you've already won. I bit my lip and said nothing. Silence is a blade, and I knew how to use it. His breath hit my neck, his voice rough. "Sarah crossed a line tonight. I'll make it right." My phone buzzed. A bank notification. $100,000 transferred. Before leaving, I tugged at my collar and ruffled my hair, making sure I looked deliciously disheveled. Serafina was waiting outside, fury etched into every line of her face. She mouthed something only for him. "Don't forget our deal." When midnight struck, Martin snapped. He pinned me to the sofa, his lips crashing against my skin in a feverish kiss that tasted like smoke and something darker. "Darling," he murmured, voice low, "time to keep your promise." He scooped me into his arms and carried me to the bedroom. The scent of cologne hung thick in the air. His shirt hung open, revealing a chest sculpted and tense with restrained fury. The kiss turned rough, punishing, until the metallic taste of blood filled my mouth. And then on the nightstand, I saw his phone propped up, recording. Perfect. Time for my next move. Just as his fingers brushed the last button of my blouse, I pushed him back, pretending to fumble in my bag. From it, I pulled a small wooden carving, a mother and child locked in an embrace. Crude, uneven, but recognizable. The second he saw it, something in him snapped. "I found the broken one in your drawer," I began softly, "and thought I'd make a new." His hand closed around my throat. The fury in his eyes was volcanic. "Who told you you could touch my things?" As my vision dimmed, I almost laughed. He could crush me easily. But what if I could become the one thing he couldn't destroy? The original sculpture had been his mother's last gift. She'd held it when she jumped. It shattered on the pavement below. He'd never forgiven her for leaving, or himself for surviving.
I didn't fight back.
I met his eyes through the haze and forced the words out. "I'm sorry I couldn't make you happy." The words stopped him cold. His grip loosened instantly. When I finally breathed again, I knew he'd taken the bait. He looked at the carving in his hand, trembling, torn between rage and grief. But he couldn't break it. I had him. As I let my hand fall, he noticed the thin network of cuts and scars across my fingers, deliberately made while shaping that sculpture. He froze, his face crumbling for just a heartbeat before he turned and kicked the table over, his phone clattering to the ground. "Are we still doing this?" I asked quietly. He said nothing. Instead, he took off his jacket, wrapped it around me, and picked up his phone. A few swipes later, my phone buzzed again. "Another $100,000. That's for your trouble," he muttered, voice raw. "We're even." He left with the sculpture. And I knew I'd won. After graduation, I sold every designer piece he'd ever bought me. The money was more than enough for my escape. The game was over, and I was the one holding the controller. The next day, Martin threw me a massive birthday party, inviting our entire graduating class. His real plan had been brutal, to project our video onto a huge screen and humiliate me in front of everyone. But instead, the venue overflowed with Ecuadorian roses and a cake he'd baked himself. Serafina's smile faltered. Suspicion clouded her face. She pulled Martin aside. "Did you sleep with her?" He hesitated.
No.
Her grin returned, sharp and cruel. "Then, where's the video? Come on, let's see it." Silence. The sunlight caught his face, dividing it in half, light and shadow. I stood a few steps away, dipping a finger into the frosting. Sweet. I poured myself champagne, ignoring their argument. Then suddenly Serafina shoved him. I stumbled and fell instead. A strange warmth spread through my body. My vision tilted.
Oh.
The champagne was spiked. The world spun as I hit the floor. "You stupid bitch," Serafina hissed, crouching beside me. She gestured toward a group of guys, their smirks feral. "Have some fun. Make sure you record it." Through the haze, I heard Martin's roar. "This wasn't the plan." Serafina laughed, the sound jagged and cruel. "What's the matter, Martin? Don't tell me you actually care about her." "I know." "Then prove it," she demanded, eyes blazing. "Tell me right now, her or me?" The room was a chaos of shadows and hands, the noise of tearing fabric and cruel laughter buzzing in my ears. Inside, I felt calm, counting down silently in my mind.
3, 2, 1.
Crash. Sunlight poured in as Martin barreled through the door, raw rage radiating from every movement. Fists flew, bodies scattered, and screams filled the air. When the dust settled, leaving only the two of us in the wrecked room, I played my part. Feigning drunken disorientation, I wrapped my arms around him and kissed him. Maybe it was vengeance. Maybe it was something deeper. This fake intimacy I allowed myself once. Just once. When Serafina stormed in, dragging our classmates behind her, the scene she expected had vanished. I lounged in Martin's arms, fingertips tracing idle patterns across his chest. Her triumphant smirk faltered, twisting into pure rage. "Mia Monroe. Just like your mother. A filthy, scheming homewrecker." I rose slowly, smoothing my clothes, a victorious smile tugging at my lips. "Martin is my boyfriend, Serafina. What gives you the right to throw a fit?" I stepped closer, voice low and lethal. "Or are you just like your mother? Always coveting what isn't yours?" She froze, unready for my counterstrike, then fled, screaming. Her only remaining leverage was Martin. When he followed, I let him go, because whatever happened next would still play to my advantage. On the balcony, Serafina teetered dangerously, demanding answers. "Martin, did you actually feel anything for her? Was it all fake?" He took a slow drag from a cigarette, smoke curling around his conflicted expression. I knew the truth. A man like him had no single true love. He could dazzle one woman with attention, and then lavish another with wealth in the same night. That night, I had been both distraction and prize. But I didn't care. My only goal was to collect as many advantages as possible. I had learned his weakness. One rainy day, I had collapsed in his arms, fever burning through me, and confided every secret of my shattered family, my father's betrayal, my mother's descent into madness. I showed him the scars and the blood, a reflection of his own past. He held me that day like the helpless boy he once was. That was the moment I planted a seed in his heart, a seed shaped like me. The secret I never told him: Serafina's mother had ruined my family. That revelation would hit him later, with devastating force. Serafina, furious, demanded to know if Martin's feelings were real. He remained silent, smoking and unreadable. Finally, he spoke, voice hoarse. It was your idea to involve her. How was I supposed to gain her trust if it didn't seem real? Her frustration boiled over. I had everything planned.
Why did you ruin it?
Because he cared. Men were simple. Serafina was lust. I had become something more: pity, sympathy, reluctant attachment. He had rebuilt me, piece by piece, and couldn't bring himself to destroy me again. When she raised her hand to swipe at her lipstick, Martin unconsciously wiped it away. That small gesture, a silent memory, pushed her over the edge. She leaped from the balcony, slapped him, then pressed a bruising kiss against his lips. It was messy, possessive, desperate, the kind Martin had once imagined. But when he pulled back, the distance snapped her composure. She began tearing at her clothes, and I brought our classmates onto the balcony. I feigned shock, letting her rage fuel the spectacle. What are you two doing? She tried to seize the narrative, demanding Martin reclaim all his money. Oh, don't you all know? Mia was just a bet. Look how easily she fell for it. Her insults poured out, meant to humiliate me. But I stayed calm, adding fuel of my own. My mother is the legal wife. The crowd murmured, shocked. The scales were shifting. Serafina, desperate, escalated. If I were her, I'd jump off a roof. Why humiliate yourself? I didn't respond. The wolf had revealed itself. Martin intervened, grabbing her wrist. What did you just say? She shouted, recounting every atrocity against me. Hospitalizations, scars, attempts at ending my life, all designed to hit his buttons. I pressed his hand against my own scars, letting him feel the truth, the pain, the survival, the fight for a future. Martin's hands trembled. His voice broke. I'm sorry. Serafina panicked, clinging to him. She's lying. End this game now. But I had won. My phone buzzed. Harvard's acceptance. I raised it, smiling. Your bed is soft, Martin, and your card is unlimited. Too bad they can't hold my future. He looked at me, heartbreaking as he finally understood. I never said I wanted to break up with you, he whispered. I reached up, cupping his face, the last touch of tenderness. Martin, you were my wings. Thank you. As I walked away, he lunged, but Serafina clung to him. He shoved her aside, discarding her like she was nothing. Get lost, he said. Someone had captured the live stream. By morning, it had gone viral. The internet erupted with messages of support. How did she survive all that and still get into Harvard? Incredible. Serafina made a bet to ruin someone's life, and now she's the laughingstock. Serves her right. Mia is my new hero. From nothing to everything, with zero apologies. When Martin found me, he stood at my door with a bouquet of Ecuadorian roses, tears staining the velvety petals. I'm sorry, Mia. I had no idea Serafina could go this far. Please, let me protect you for the rest of your life. I inhaled the scent, the promises as intoxicating as ever. But flowers wilt, and promises can break. Only I could rely on myself. I handed the bouquet back, a faint, sad smile on my lips. It doesn't matter, Martin. I got what I wanted. He dropped to one knee, brandishing a ring the size of a pigeon's egg. I was a fool, Mia. It was a stupid game with Serafina. But I fell in love with you. With your strength, your heart, your gentleness. All traits I could mimic perfectly. I laughed and slapped the ring from his hand. And how do you know I wasn't just playing along? So, all of it was fake? Years of him controlling the game, undone. I held every string. Still, he wouldn't relent. Even if it was, we can start over. I'll do it your way. Anything you want. A cruel impulse seized me. I wanted to see how far he'd fall. Take off your clothes. He blinked. What? Take them off, I repeated. Piece by piece, he obeyed, standing in nothing but boxers, pleading silently. A prince brought low. I swear, Mia, it was nothing. A bet, a fling. I never meant anything, he said, voice trembling. I smiled, then opened the door. Serafina's red-rimmed eyes and trembling body froze as she witnessed the humiliation she never expected. She lunged at him like a predator. Who do you think you are? You pathetic fool. You're being used, I shouted. And you're still here proposing? Disgusting. One brutal kick sent her sprawling. Tears, rage, and disbelief burned in her eyes. So, what if Mia has him? You'll never escape your pathetic life. Just then, my father stormed in, face twisted with fury. You shameless girl. How dare you take Serafina's man? I braced myself, ready to strike back, but Martin was faster. He seized a vase from my hands and smashed it over my father's skull. Crack. Silence. The police arrived. Martin was handcuffed. Serafina, fleeing, was struck by a car, flying 30 feet across the street. Blood pooled around her. My father was hospitalized, but did not survive. When my mother brought home his ashes, she seemed detached, more concerned with routine than grief. I quietly finished packing. Where are you going? She asked.
Away.
For good, I said. The box of fried chicken slipped from her hands. This is the last time I call you that, I added. You never cared about me. Only money. From age 12, I worked under the table to survive. You never noticed. She sputtered, but I walked away, a gentle smile on my lips. You hated Serafina, but I have her to thank. And my father, he never mattered to me either. Killing the heart with a single truth, I left without looking back. On arrival abroad, my phone exploded with breaking news alerts. My mother had gone to the hospital where Serafina was recovering. She attacked both her and her mother. Both were killed. My mother was arrested. I felt little. This was always her nature. Abroad, I worked multiple jobs, maintained a full scholarship, and excelled. By graduation, prestigious firms were offering me positions. I became a minor public figure, though I never lost my drive to tutor and earn extra. 2 years later, on a busy street, I unexpectedly ran into Martin. He looked worn but familiar. I served my time, he said quietly. I came to find you. Over coffee, he reflected, voice thick with emotion. I wished I could start over, cherish you, protect you. But now, seeing what you've accomplished, I'm grateful I wasn't an obstacle. I slid a bank card across the table. The money you gave me, plus gifts sold, with interest. Consider it repaid. Tears welled in his eyes. I'll use this to help students in need, he said, voice choked. I finished my coffee, stood, smiling. Goodbye, Martin. He called after me, apology heavy in the air. Let's stand back to back, I said softly. Count to 3, then walk. I had always loved counting down.
3, 2, 1.
We stepped apart, never to meet again.